Hello and welcome to our Plus TV Africa Lagos studio. Today is Thursday, the 18th of April 2019, and the weather focus in Lagos is 33 degrees Celsius. Glad today's weather is partly cloudy with light air, but always remember to stay hydrated. I'm David Alabi, and this is today's edition of Off the Press. With me this morning to discuss major headlines on the dailies is a legal practitioner, Dr. Kubi Udofia. Good morning and good to have you join us.
Good morning, David.
How is the weather treating you?
Well, it's been okay. I'm getting used to it by now, and let's hope we have a bit of some rain over the weekend, the long weekend.
Exactly. Would want the rain to at least cool the holiday season, isn't it? Well, we have some newspapers here with us. We have the Punch newspaper. We'll be going through the New Telegraph as well. We have Daily Sun, Vanguard newspaper, The Nation newspaper, and This Day. We have a whole lot to discuss this morning. Now, let's begin with This Day newspaper. The biggest headline: President Buhari asks ministers to submit handover notes. Cabinet dissolution imminent. I am duly elected, President tells Atiku. Senate bows to President, reviews passes PIGB. And we have multiple riders there, reduces PRC's revenue retention to 5% and expunges PEF clause. And we also look at other headlines here. Federal government tightens airport security over rising threat cases, expands CCTV coverage area, reinforces patrols, profiles security personnel. And China's growth pushes oil price to 2019 high at $72 per barrel. We have details of that in page 7, talking about business. And we also see the pictorial here where we have the chosen one. From the left to the right, we have the national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Adams Oshiomhole, President Muhammadu Buhari, and the party's preferred candidate for Speaker of the 9th National Assembly, House of Representatives, Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, during a presidential dinner for members-elect in the House in Abuja on Tuesday. And the Supreme Court affirms Fayemi as governor, dismisses Oni's eligibility suit. Page 6 has details of that. Let's start with President Muhammadu Buhari now asking ministers to send their handover notes. Now, this display means that most definitely the dissolution is so imminent, pretty much closer than expected.
Yes, it is. I mean, we have 41 days to the handover date, the president handing over to himself, and I think it's a normal procedure when you have a transitioning government. So I think they've been told to hand over status reports in relation to projects, policies, and programs of the various ministries and other MDAs. And I think it's a good development. Let's hope that this time around the president will get it right. I mean, we can still remember what happened in 2015. It's still green in our memories, where the president had to wait for about 6 months before
forming a new cabinet and kicking into action.
So let's hope that, I mean, he would do something faster now. Days, weeks after inauguration of the new government, would have a cabinet in place, and then, because he has just 4 more years, just 4 years, and then time runs very fast. So it's a good development and quite commendable.
Hopefully the early bird catches the worm this time around, and we have the dividends of democracy reaching our hands. This time he should consolidate in all of his mandates that he's earlier had the chance to. And he also tells Atiku that he's duly elected as president. What do you make of that statement to Atiku?
Yes, I think that was a counter affidavit he filed in support of his preliminary objection to Mr. Atiku's petition. He says he's more qualified than Atiku. He was duly elected, and he's asked for the petition to be dismissed.
Okay. Now we move over to the Nation newspaper, where we are looking at headlines from this newspaper. President Buhari challenges Atiku to present his credentials and better than PDP candidate, President tells the tribunal. And we also see INEC within the inside of the newspaper. The court dismisses suits challenging the sale of 9 mobile. And Friday and Monday are holidays. We have details of that on page 8. Olowo of Oba Olagbegi passes on at the age of 77, and Oni loses bid to sack Governor Fayemi. Page 42 has details. Senate passes bills rejected by President Buhari. Page 7 also has details. Troops kill 39 Boko Haram fighters, and why we've not released UTME results. Details of that on page 7 as well. And Joshua's rival Miller fails drug test. $1.2 billion Malibu oil deal, billion-dollar oil deal. Court orders arrest of Adoke Etete and others. Ex-AGF set to appeal. Once again, the president says it's better off than Atiku Abubakar and asks him to present all of his credentials, saying that he's not qualified.
Okay, so the president is simply saying that...
to have even participated in the just concluded elections.
Yes, I wouldn't go into the allegation that Atiku Abubakar is from Cameroon. But here, I think the president, what he basically said is that, or what he's basically saying in his affidavit is that educationally or academically and constitutionally, he's better than Atiku. He's always defeated him in primaries. He made mention of the APC primaries where he defeated him, made mention of previous elections. And in terms of academic qualifications and in terms of achievements in public service, he is far more qualified and better than Atiku Abubakar. Yes.
And we also look at the Arawa to the government saying that they need to end the killings because the Arawa Consultative Forum rose yesterday from its National Executive Council meeting with a call on the federal government to take the battle to the criminals responsible for killings across the country. Insecurity continues to rise and the spate is shockingly disturbing.
It's absolutely disturbing. And I mean, they've turned the North into what many call bandit clan. And here at our Consultative Forum, they are basically calling the government to live up to its responsibility. They should face the different security challenges because they are peculiar. What's happening in the East is different from the security challenges in the North. So the government has to devise ways of tackling these security challenges based on their peculiarities.
Okay. Now, we also move over to the Daily Sun newspaper. Ministers get deadline on handover notes. Buhari gives them till April 24 to submit reports. Are more qualified than Atiku, the president tells the tribunal. Page 7 and page 8 of the Daily Sun newspaper has details of that. And in the pictorial here, we see caskets of 16 victims of Akwanga massacre during the mass burial in Numu village, Akwanga local government area of Nasarawa state just yesterday. And the Malibu oil deal, court orders Etete and Adoke's arrest, declares 5 others wanted. Page 4 has details. Bago Diege, their APC over Gbajabiamila, insist on contesting reps' top job. Senate passes redrafted Electoral Act, BIGB, 4 bills. OK's radical police reforms. And Kalu, others mourn as Olowo of Owo dies at the age of 77. Page 40 has details of that. And 2 Anambra PGs killed in one day. Obiano offers 5 million naira for information on the killers. Now, let's also talk about this Malibu scandal, where the court has now decided to order Etete and Adoke's arrest and declared 5 others wanted as well.
Yes, I think what happened in the Malibu case was that the Malibu, there's an allegation of $1.2 billion, fraud on the part of the persons that have been declared wanted. So Justice Danladi Senchi of the FCT High Court, I think the order was sequel to the fact that these persons, they've had series of court proceedings and they failed to appear. So the EFCC has now approached the courts to declare them wanted so that they can bring them before the court and arraign them. So there's a warrant of arrest. The Interpol have, they've been alerted and they've been notified that wherever they are found, they should be caught and then handed over to the Nigerian authorities. Already we are having reactions from the persons involved. I mean, 3 of them are Nigerians, but I think the rest are foreigners. That's why they had to, notify the Interpol. I mean, we've had a reaction by the former AGF Adoke, who has said he's going to challenge the order. I mean, on the ground that when he acted as a public servant and based on the instructions he got from his principal, the then president. So let's see how things, pan out. It's going to be interesting anyway.
But do you think that in Nigeria we continue to think it is all right to celebrate or to swim into this water of impunity where we act like fishes in water, where you can't just grapple on, always slippery, and think that court orders are something they should just be absent towards? If you are coming with clean hands or you are clean away from the allegations, you go attend the proceedings, the trial, and then
exactly
you're free to go.
That's what fair hearing is about, being given the opportunity to be heard. And these guys, They were given the opportunity to be heard. They've been summoned several times. They've had series of court proceedings, and they failed to show up. Some of them have even left the country. So, I mean, you can't fault the court and EFCC for taking these steps. I mean, some people may even fault EFCC that this is a step that should have been taken months or even years ago, because these charges, they've been before the court. There are other charges before two other federal high courts. They've been before the court for months and nothing happened. And yes, well, it's good now that something has happened. They're taking steps to ensure that these people are brought before the court to answer for whatever they did back then.
Okay, now we move over to the Vanguard newspaper and presidential tussle. It continues to be a heated debate here. I always beat you in every election. Buhari tells Atiku queries powers of tribunal to order fresh election. Odds. Not only do I have SSCE, I rose to the top of my military career. That's President Muhammadu Buhari speaking there. And we also have the pictorial here. APC House of Reps elect dinner. We see President Muhammadu Buhari with the national chairman of the party, Adams Oshiomhole, and Femi Gbajabiamila, the House leader, as the president hosted APC House of Representatives elect to dinner in State House, Abuja on Tuesday. And we're also seeing here the state of the nation, Nigeria's deep fiscal quagmire and tax conundrum. Apapa, Badagry, other Lagos roads, the federal government, Lagos state government abandons motorist commuters to misery. Page 38 has details of that. Power, national grid system collapses 6 times in 4 months. And page 19 as well has details of that. GT Bank reports 557 billion naira profit for 2019 first quarter, and investors withdrew 94.09 billion naira from stock markets in 2 months. And set up measures to end rise in cases of killing in Nigeria. Khan tells the federal government of Nigeria. Talking about security once again in the country, page 14 has details. We are yet to find a formula that works. That, according to the finance minister, in response to the subsidy removal, whether or not there has to be. And $1.2 billion Malibu oil scam, court orders arrest for Adoke and Etete, as well as 4 others, and court dismisses suit on sale of 9 mobile. We have page 9 having details there. The 9th National Assembly, PDP reps blast Oshiomhole on sharing committee chairmanship, and Ondo monarch Oba Olateru Olagbegi dies at the age of 77. Now, let's talk about the subsidy removal. Reactions have continued to pour in, diverse reactions, whether or not there should be subsidy removal. And the IMF has come out to say that, well, to establish a stronger economic pattern within the country and moving forward for this year, subsidy has to be removed. We know the IMF churns out recommendations and advice to countries. You name them. These are solid ideas, but some are also saying that if you follow through, just like Nupenga and Pengasana said it, if you follow through, you are going to cause much more untold hardships on Nigerians. We cannot afford to pay much more than 145 naira per litre. But the landing cost is 180 naira. That's our reality. What do you think government is going to do? And they are telling us now that they are yet to get a working formula.
Yeah.
How long do we have to wait for a solution to come through?
I think government is right to an extent, because IMF, I mean, these are the people that are against the subsidy removal are people on ground. These are stakeholders, people in the industry. And it's not as if they are doing it for any selfish reasons, making their propositions.
They are facing reality. We
exactly.
Look at Ibman Bowman.
So they are considering the hardship that will be inflicted on Nigerians if you remove this subsidy. And you know, in the past, they've tried, making it like a gradual removal so as not to really, inflict the kind of hardship, So what the government is doing now is they are exploring ways of looking for the proper ways of removing the subsidy in order to ensure that, this thing is done with little or no adverse impact on the populace.
But we know the NNPC is the sole importer of the product now. To what extent do you think this would
I think that's one of the structural changes.
The market, talking about scarcity.
Yeah, that's one of the structural changes the administration carried out when they came into power, to ensure that you don't eliminate all cases of maybe scandal, fraudulent practices by marketers. And I think it's not really, For an ordinary Nigerian, it's not really led to any change. The subsidy is still there. The prices have not reduced. They've still been on the increase. And I guess that's why government is saying that they're still looking for a formula. And once they find that, let's hope that something will be done about that. But I think for now, subsidy has come to stay till the government finds a formula.
So the government finds a working formula. That's the language of the week so far. Now we move over to the Punch newspaper. $2.1 billion Malabu scam. EFCC says it's working with Interpol to arrest Adoke as well as Atete. Page 3 has details, and we also see it as the court orders ex-ministers, 5 others apprehension. And the pictorial here, we are saying a man fights with a foreign national over violation of traffic rules by the foreigner at Firma Junction close to Banex in Abuja on Wednesday. Quite a heated situation over there. In domestic debt servicing, gulps 1.8 trillion naira, rises by 330 billion naira. Page 25 has details of that, and that's talking business. And legal matters here, NJC meets may extend Mohammed Tanker's tenure as acting CJN. Petrol will continue to sell for 145 naira, says NNPC. And page 30 has details of that. Why we haven't held by-election in Darius district. INEC also shares details of that. And page 10, Senate passes petroleum bill. 6 others. Page 8 has details. And far much more educationally qualified than Atiku. That's according to President Muhammadu Buhari. In page 19, and federal government declares Friday, Monday, Easter holidays. And command arraigns 3 for impersonating King Sunny Ade. Page 5 details, and Olawo of Olateru Olagbegi dies at 77. Page 41 has details as well. Ex-Peru president kills himself to evade arrest for corruption. And police delivered 2.5 million naira ransom to my kidnappers. That's according to a Canadian. And lastly, President Buhari orders ministers to submit project reports by the 24th of April. Now, let's talk about the federal government declaring Friday and Monday as Easter holidays. We know everybody is expecting the holidays to come through, but to what extent should we, as a people, as a nation, for the Christian faithful now, to ensure that they emulate the values of Jesus Christ, love, peace, unity, oneness, at a time when one would say Nigeria is much divided on party lines and ethnic lines?
Yeah, first, the issue of everybody being excited. I think sometimes I hear employers say that these public holidays are a nightmare for employees to sit at home and get paid for nothing, but that's just on the lighter side. I think it is a time for sober reflection for both Christians and then their Muslim colleagues. I think it's a time for us to sit down, reflect on the life and times of Jesus Christ, what he came to do here, and the ultimate price and sacrifice he paid for Christians, which, like you said, reflects love, ultimate sacrifice. And for us to, reflect on these things, it's a time for us to reach out to our brothers, know that, in whatever
beyond party, ethnic, religious lines.
Exactly. So it's that time for sober reflection, for us to try and live out the life of us Christians, live out the life of Jesus Christ, show love to one another, because all we need
What's also your word on moderation in terms of the celebration? We know how Easter holidays can be when it comes to Easter Monday.
I think people have to be careful in terms of motorists. They have to drive carefully. I mean, it's not a time for binge drinking and to celebrate. Like I said, it's a time for sober reflection, to reflect on the lives and times of Jesus Christ and see how we can emulate that, in our lives here on earth.
Thank you very much for your time. It's been a pleasure speaking with you, Dr. Ubi. And when we come back after the short break on this edition of Off the Press, we'll be talking about sports as we look at the nation's sporting as well as Vanguard Sports, bringing us updates in the national dailies with our sports correspondent, Samson. Don't go anywhere. Glad to have you back. And now joining me in our Lagos studio, we have our sports correspondent, Samson. Good morning. It's time to talk sports this time around again. Okay, let's quickly start off with the nation sporting live. One of the biggest stories, we have a red rage. Salah demands Liverpool exit, and Henry Oyekuru, why I rejected PSG, mother's decision, informed choice of Everton. And we have FC Porto 1 and Liverpool 4. And we have the Red set up semi-final showdown with Barca. And Oblak signs new Atletico deal. We have details of that in the newspaper. And Man United keen on 129 million euros Koulibaly. And then we also have Liverpool close to 43 million pounds deal for Werner. And Barca close in on 80 million pounds. Oh, I beg your pardon, euros delete deal. And Golden Eaglet first to book Mundial ticket. Real Madrid refused to pay 104 million pounds for Felix. And we also have some details of today's fixtures. We are looking at Chelsea versus Slavia Prague. We look at Frankfurt versus Benfica, Napoli versus Arsenal, and Valencia versus Villarreal, and much more. So quickly, Samson, now let's talk about Salah's demand for Liverpool exit.
Well, that's likely not to happen. That won't happen. Liverpool are currently on a roll. You know, they have a shot at the double. That's in terms of the Champions League and the Premier League title. Obviously, clubs will come calling. I think he's at home at Liverpool and it feels good at Anfield. So I don't think that will materialize. But let's talk about the Golden Eaglets. You know, clinching the Mundial ticket. That's the Under-17 World Cup. I think it was a good outing yesterday, although it was very difficult for them against Angola. And that was despite the numerical advantage they had, because Angola got red carded at some point in the game. We have to do more in terms of our offensive play as well. The lads missed a couple of chances that they should have tucked into the net. But overall, you can't fault them. 2 games, 6 points, 6 goals scored.
That's pretty much good.
It's pretty much good. So let's see how they fare going forward. You know, they've qualified for the semi-finals now, and the Under-17 World Cup is one that we've won a record 4 times. We need to really stamp our authority on it.
And Spurs knockout citizens as well. We are looking at let's Man City 4, Tottenham 3.
3. A good game, a good game. I think both managers would be proud of themselves in terms of how the players attacked the game. They went into the game with the right attitude, and that was evident in the first 11 minutes when both teams went, you know, scored 2 goals apiece.
Okay, Samson, for the lack of time now, today's fixtures, what do you make of today's games? We're looking at the Europa League quarterfinals. We're looking at Chelsea versus Slavia, Frankfurt versus Benfica, Napoli versus Arsenal, Valencia versus Villarreal. I'm sure you are looking closely and expecting an interesting game. But do you think we'll see any surprises today?
Not really, not really. I think Chelsea are home and dry. They got a 1-0 victory, you know, in the reverse fixture. They will complete the job tonight. Arsenal, yes, away form has been worrisome for a while, you know, but it's against Napoli at Naples. They have a 2-goal cushion. They're good enough to get an away goal and probably seal up the deal. I don't know if they would get enough goals to, you know, guarantee qualification, but I think they're in a very good state to get that.
I'd like you to play pundit. What do you think will be the scoreline, any of these matches? Just
Chelsea should win with at least 3 goals, probably 3-1, you know.
I'm going to place a bet on that.
Maybe 3-1.
Thank you very much for your time, Samson. It's been a pleasure talking to you. And this is where we draw the curtain on today's edition of Off the Press. Make sure you keep abreast with all of the news headlines. And make sure you do that tomorrow, same time, at Plus TV Africa. Stay tuned for the rest of our programming.